Well, welcome to the online tutorial sessions for economics. I am Avinash Lambert, your economics guru, and today we are going to start a new unit, a new chapter, which is determination of income and employment. So, up to today, we have completed the first unit, which is national income, the second unit, which is money in banking. Now it's time for the third unit, which is determination of income and employment. Now students, from this unit, the total of 12 marks is being asked in your paper. So it's a very important unit. Now, the fifth chapter we are going to start, its name is Aggregate Demand and its related concept. It's a very easy topic and also a complicated one. So you have to concentrate a lot. Now let's start with the first topic, which is aggregate demand, or in short we just write it as AD. Now what is aggregate demand? It refers to the total demand of final goods and services which all the sectors of the economy are planning. Key term is planning. They are not actually buying it, they are actually planning to buy at a given level of income, whatever their level of income is there during an accounting year. So this is your aggregate demand. It refers to the total demand of final goods and services, which all the sectors of the economy, all the sectors, fine, primary sector, fine, and your secondary sector, tertiary sector, household sector, government sector, fine, all those sectors are planning to buy at a given level of income during an accounting year. That is your aggregate demand, or in short we can sum it up as it represents the total expenditure on goods and services in an accounting year in an economy. It represents the total expenditure. Whatever amount of expenditure a country, an economy is going to do, is planning to do, that is your aggregate demand. And make sure, in class 11 we have studied the concept of market demand. Remember? Market demand. But here market demand and aggregate demand are two different concepts. They are not the similar one. They are totally different concepts. Under the market demand, there was the total demand of one commodity by all the consumers. But here the aggregate demand, there are all the goods and services which are produced in an economy. All. Here market demand, it was only one commodity. But in the aggregate demand, there are all the goods and services which are produced in an economy. So this is your concept of aggregate demand. Students, let's start with the components of aggregate demand. What are the components of aggregate demand? What constitutes the aggregate demand? Now students, in the unit national income, you have studied the expenditure method. Fine, expenditure method. So whatever the components of aggregate demand are exactly the components of that expenditure method. Do you remember those components? PFC, private final consumption expenditure, government final consumption expenditure, gross investments and net exports. What if I tell you these four components are exactly the four components of aggregate demand? Thank you so much, sir. Sir, you are God. Yes. So these are your exactly the four components. Components of aggregate demand are private final consumption expenditure, government final consumption expenditure, gross investments and net exports. You already know that. You have already learned that. Now, what is private final consumption expenditure? Basically, it is the expenditure which is done by the households, the consumption done by the households. Now, it refers to the total amount of expenditure incurred by households on purchase of goods and services. That's it. This is your private final consumption expenditure, which is denoted as C. Fine. Now, second one, investment expenditure. Under it refers to the expenditure. It is also an expenditure which is incurred on purchase of capital goods like plants and machinery. On purchase of capital goods. Basically, this one is done by the producers. Fine. So it refers to the expenditure incurred on the purchase of capital goods like plants and machinery, which are done to make further profit, which are used for producing more goods. So this is your investment expenditure. Third one is government consumption expenditure. It refers to the expenditure incurred by the government on purchase of goods and services. These are very easy terms, fine, because we have already studied it. Government expenditure means the expenditure incurred by the government on the purchase of goods and services. And the last one, which is net exports, X minus M. It is the difference between export and imports. That's it. These are your components. Now, you can say that if I ask you to make a formula of aggregate demand, so you can very easily tell that aggregate demand is equal to private final consumption expenditure, which is denoted as C, investment expenditure, which is denoted by I, government consumption expenditure, which is denoted by G, and net exports, which is denoted by X minus M. So this is your formula of aggregate demand. If in the board exams, it is asked, write down the formula or what are the components of aggregate demand, then you have to write this formula. Fine? And you have to mention all the components. Is that clear, students? Now, let's move further. This unit basically is Keynes theory. This unit is also known as theory, which is given by Keynes. He was a great economist, Keynes. So, Keynes theory, to study this whole unit, Keynes theory, we need to study only two sectors. So, how many gifts you are going to give us today? I am going to give lots of gifts. Fine. Now, Keynes theory, we have to study only two sectors. Here, these are four sectors. Household sector, producer sector, government sector, and rest of the world. You need to study only two sectors, which is household sector and producer sector. So, the formula which you need to study the Keynes theory will be needed as AD is equal to C plus I. Now, don't get confused. You have to learn both the formulas. In exams, if it is asked that what is the formula of aggregate demand, then you have to write the whole formula because this is the actual formula. But for the further study, because you need to understand this whole concept, you need to learn only two sectors. For that, the formula of aggregate demand will be C plus I only. Fine. So, if in the question arises as what is the formula of aggregate demand, take only two sectors, then you have to write it as C plus I. But if it's not mentioned, then you have to write the whole formula. So, this is your formula, AD is equal to C plus I. Fine, you have to learn both of them. Now, students, I want you all to take a screenshot so that we can move further. Take a screenshot. Fine. Let's come to the further topic. Students, as you all know that to study this whole unit, we need only two sectors, which is C plus I. Fine. AD is equal to C plus I. Now, in this video, we are going to start the C. This part, the C portion of this formula, which is consumption expenditure. So, today in this video, we are going to learn about the consumption expenditure. Now, what is consumption expenditure? In economics, consumption is a function of income. Means whatever is your income, that will decide how much or what will you consume. Fine. Suppose your income is 100 rupees, then you will consume maybe 70 rupees, or you can consume only 100 rupees, or you can consume more than 100 rupees. Suppose your income is 1 lakh, then you will consume 70,000. In the first case, you were consuming only 70 rupees, only 100 rupees. But now, as your income is 1 lakh, now you are consuming 70,000 rupees. You are consuming 1 lakh rupees. Fine. So that is your consumption. Consumption is a function of income. Income will decide how much you will consume, how much you will expend on your consumption. So consumption function depicts the portion of income spent on consumption. Out of your income, how much portion you are going to spend on your consumption. So this is your consumption expenditure, and the formula, or you can denote it as C is equal to the function of income. C is equal to the function of income. Income is denoted by Y. Understand it. Investment is denoted by I and income is denoted by Y. Now this income is also your national income. Fine. So in the further videos, you will denote this Y as national income also. You can call it income or you can call it national income, because you are studying it as a aggregate on a whole economy level. So you will consider it as a national income. So suppose your income is zero. Your income is zero, you don't have any money. How much will you consume? So I don't have money, so I cannot consume. Right? Wrong. In the last month, I didn't have any income. I didn't got my salary. I didn't have any income. Didn't I consume anything? I must have consumed something. I must have consumed food. I must have consumed electricity. I must have consumed some petrol in my bike. So I must have consumed now. Even my income is zero, I must have consumed something. So let's suppose when my income is zero, I have consumed of 60. Fine. Now, as my income increased, now I am getting 100 rupees. So my consumption also increased, because now I am capable for more expenditure. I have increased it. Now my income would be 100, so I will consume 130 now. How is that possible, sir? My income is 100, I am expending 130 because of the previous savings. Suppose before this zero income, I had some income. So in that income, I have saved some money. So with the help of that money, I can expend more than the income. Now, when my income is 200, my consumption increased. My consumption increased to 200. Now, my income increased to 300. Now I am expending 270. My income increased to 400. Now I am expending 340. Again, my income increased up to 500. Now I am expending 410. Now, you know, at zero level of income, when your income is zero and you are still consuming, so that consumption is known as autonomous consumption. Fine. Autonomous consumption is done from the past saving, from the previous savings. Before your income was zero, you were having some sort of incomes under which you have saved some portion of your income, and that's how when your income is zero, you are still consuming something. That is known as autonomous consumption. At zero level of income, whatever you consume, that is your autonomous consumption, which is done from the past saving or previous saving. Now, if you have noticed that the consumption is done in a similar pattern, there is a trend in this increase of consumption. If you will notice, you will see 30 minus 60, 70. 200 minus 130, 70. 270 minus 200, 70. 340 minus 270, 70. 410 minus 340, 70. So there is a increase in consumption in a constant rate. Fine. If income is increasing in a constant rate, then the consumption will also increase but at a constant rate. Fine. So if income is increasing at a constant rate, then the consumption is also going to increase at a constant rate. Consumption increases at constant rate. Mind it. Always remember that consumption increases at a constant rate. Now let's draw this diagram on the graph. Now on the x-axis I have taken income, on the y-axis I have taken the consumption. Let's draw this. To start the consumption curve, we need to draw a consumption curve. Fine. Now at zero level of income, the consumption was 60. Let's mark it 60 here. Suppose this is your point 60. Now at zero level of income, your consumption was 60. So your curve will start from this point, not from origin. It will start from this point. Fine. Now let's draw it. Because it's a linear, it will be a linear curve because the consumption is increasing at a constant rate. So just draw a straight line. This will be your consumption curve. It should be a straight line. This is your consumption curve. Fine. Write it down. Consumption curve. And it is a linear curve. Fine. The starting point, this will be your starting point. Write it down above the origin. Starting point will be above the origin. Fine. And this portion, this area, the zero level of consumption, the zero level of income, and if there is still some consumption, this portion is known as autonomous consumption. So this portion is autonomous consumption. It is denoted by C bar. Fine. Autonomous consumption is denoted by C bar. Now let's see it again. Consumption can never be zero. Understood? Consumption can never be zero. Even though you have a zero income, you will consume something. So consumption can never be zero, and at zero level of income, consumption is known as autonomous consumption, or you can denote it as C bar. And the consumption function is linear, means the consumption increases at an increasing rate. That's why it's a linear curve. It's not concave, it's not convex, it is linear. Fine. And mathematically, the formula of consumption will be C is equal to C bar plus B into Y. Now C bar is autonomous consumption. Autonomous consumption is your C bar. Y means income or national income. And small b is your slope of consumption curve. Fine. Now regarding this B, slope of consumption curve, we will study it in the further videos. For now you just need to learn this mathematical formula of consumption function, which is C is equal to C bar plus B into Y. C is autonomous consumption, B is the slope of consumption curve, and Y is your income. So students, that's all for today's video. I hope you have understood a lot. Now we'll see in the next video. Stay home, stay safe, and see you soon.